chosen one. They thought you were finished. They thought your spirit could be broken, your faith shaken, and your destiny stolen. They mocked your struggles, laughed at your pain, and tortured your soul, believing their cruelty would silence you forever. But what they didn't realize is that every act of oppression against you was recorded, every tear you shed was witnessed, and every trial you endured awakened a divine force they cannot escape. Today, we reveal 7 powerful lessons for Allah's chosen ones, lessons forged in suffering, refined in patience, and illuminated by a justice so perfect that their arrogance will become their own undoing. If you've ever been betrayed, mocked, or pushed to the edge, listen carefully, because what they did to you has awakened a divine wrath beyond their imagination. Chosen one, every moment you endured their cruelty, every insult thrown at you, every lie they spread, and every act of injustice they committed against you was never wasted. Your patience transformed it all into living evidence, a testimony that will stand against them when Allah's perfect justice is revealed. They believed that by breaking your spirit, they could rewrite your story, silence your voice, and erase your light. But what they failed to see is that patience, when rooted in faith, does not mean weakness. It means alignment with Allah. It means trusting His timing. And it means letting Him turn what was meant for harm into your elevation. Islam teaches that Sabr is a shield, a weapon sharper than any sword, and every tear you endured while remaining steadfast was recorded by Allah, every moment of restraint becoming a mark of honor in the unseen record of the heavens. While they thought they were controlling the narrative, Allah was meticulously arranging the evidence against their arrogance, ensuring that nothing would be hidden, nothing would be forgotten, and nothing would escape His decree. The humiliation they hoped would break you instead strengthened your character, refined your heart, and positioned you for a level of victory that is invisible to the worldly eye but undeniable in the divine realm. What they inflicted with cruelty became a canvas for Allah's justice, and your patience painted the masterpiece, proving that endurance in the face of oppression is not just survival, it is proof of divine truth, an unshakable testimony that the chosen are never abandoned, the oppressed are never overlooked, and that every moment of suffering, when carried with patience and faith, becomes the foundation for an unstoppable rise that even the oppressors cannot escape or deny. Chosen one, there comes a moment in the journey of the faithful when the heart realizes that human effort, arguments, and explanations are limited, that defending oneself against those blinded by envy and arrogance often only deepens the cycle of conflict, and that true victory lies not in retaliation, but in surrendering the outcome to Allah, the all-wise, the all-knowing. When you reach the point of silence, when you stop justifying your truth to people committed to misunderstanding, when you withdrew from battles that only polluted your soul, that was the moment Allah took over the defense in ways unseen yet unstoppable. While they schemed, manipulated, and tried to rewrite your story, Allah arranged circumstances, purified hearts, and aligned destinies so that every attempt to harm you would ultimately rebound on them, every plot would collapse under its own weight, and every insult would become a testimony of their own misguidance. The Qur'an reminds us that Allah is the best of planners, and His plans unfold in perfect timing, far beyond human comprehension. Often when the oppressors least expect it, and in ways so subtle that it appears as mere coincidence to the world, yet every event is a declaration of divine justice. By releasing your hands from the futile task of retaliation, you preserved your dignity, protected your spirit, and allowed Allah to demonstrate His sovereignty, proving that when the chosen stop fighting for recognition or revenge, they rise in ways so powerful that no enemy, no lie, no act of cruelty can ever undo it. Your withdrawal was not surrender, it was strategy, obedience, and trust in the one whose judgment is flawless. And when Allah defends a servant, no army can overpower it, no scheme can unravel it, and no arrogance can escape it, because divine protection does not depend on the weak hands of man. It depends on the strength of the Creator, who sees all, knows all, and orchestrates the unseen to bring victory to those who remain steadfast in faith, silent in the right moments, and trusting in His perfect decree. Chosen one, never doubt that every act of betrayal, every word of mockery, every unjust attack, and every ounce of cruelty aimed at you served a purpose far greater than what the oppressors could ever imagine. For Allah, in His infinite wisdom, allows oppression not merely to test the faithful, but to unveil the true nature of those who inflicted it, to expose the hearts of the arrogant and the deceitful, so that the world and the hereafter bear witness to their corruption. What they intended as a weapon to wound you became, in reality, a mirror reflecting their envy, their pride, their moral decay, and their spiritual emptiness. While they believed they were controlling the outcome, spreading lies and manipulating perceptions, Allah was quietly, yet with absolute precision, revealing their inner darkness, allowing their deception, hypocrisy, and cruelty to be visible to the heavens and, eventually, to the world, ensuring that nothing would remain hidden, that no mask could withstand the weight of divine scrutiny, and that every injustice would carry within it the seed of their own undoing. Their actions exposed what was concealed in hearts hardened by arrogance, greed, and envy, while simultaneously refining you, purifying your intentions, strengthening your faith, and fortifying your patience, so that what they sought to destroy could only elevate you further in character, in awareness, and in closeness to Allah. The oppression that burned like fire against your soul became a revelation, a divine illumination that distinguished the righteous from the pretenders, and every cruelty, every betrayal, and every attempt to silence you contributed to a record that would speak louder than words, louder than retaliation, and louder than worldly judgment. It became undeniable proof that the chosen are marked not by the attacks they endure, but by the resilience, clarity, and faith they maintain, that the true measure of power lies not in hurting others, but in withstanding harm with dignity, and that Allah, in His perfect justice, uses the cruelty of the misguided to bring revelation, exposure, and elevation to those He has selected, ensuring that while their hearts are laid bare in shame, your soul stands radiant, unshakable, and closer to the one who never misses, never forgets, and never allows injustice to go unanswered. Chosen one, hear this and let it sink into your soul. The wrath that was awakened by the cruelty and oppression you endured is not the chaotic, impulsive fury of humans. It is the calculated, deliberate, flawless justice of Allah. And it moves in ways that the mind cannot comprehend, in rhythms that the world cannot perceive, and with outcomes that no human hand could orchestrate. While they thought their schemes, lies, and mockery would break you, silence you, or erase your light, Allah was quietly, yet decisively, setting into motion the most precise consequences for every unjust act, every malicious word, every attempt to harm your heart or derail your destiny. Divine wrath does not rush, it does not stumble, it does not strike indiscriminately. It waits, it observes, it records, and it acts only when the timing is perfect, when the weight of evidence is undeniable, and when the effects will teach, correct, and expose with total certainty. They believed that victory was theirs when they controlled the narrative, manipulated perceptions, and celebrated your apparent vulnerability. But Allah's justice is unseen until the moment it manifests, and when it does, it is absolute, inescapable, and unmistakable. Their wealth, their influence, their power, and their relationships, all the tools they thought would sustain them, become instruments of their own undoing when touched by divine decree. Every plot, every scheme, every whispered lie, and every act of cruelty is catalogued in the records of the unseen, preserved with perfect accuracy and balanced against the patience, resilience, and steadfastness of the chosen. And you, chosen one, become the silent witness to this divine orchestration. Your restraint amplifies the perfection of Allah's justice. Your refusal to retaliate allows the scales to tip exactly as they should, and your unwavering faith ensures that the light of truth remains untarnished, even when darkness surrounds you. Remember, Allah does not need you to fight for justice. He needs only your patience, your trust, and your obedience. The oppressors may celebrate temporary victories, mock your silence, or underestimate your endurance, but each moment of apparent defeat is being woven into a tapestry of accountability so precise that even the most cunning among them cannot escape it, and even the world's perception cannot alter it. Divine wrath is not personal, it is systemic, intelligent, and flawless. It exposes the arrogant, dismantles the prideful, removes the corrupted from positions of influence, and restores balance to the universe in ways that human eyes rarely see, but hearts attuned to faith recognize. While they sought to harm you, Allah sought to perfect you, to deepen your faith, refine your character, purify your intentions, expand your insight, and prepare you for the elevation that follows every trial. Their cruelty, their arrogance, and their blind confidence become the instruments through which Allah teaches lessons not only to them but to the world, demonstrating that oppression against the chosen is never hidden, never wasted, and never unpunished. Chosen one, your suffering was never meaningless, your pain was never ignored, your endurance was never overlooked. Every tear you shed, every insult you endured, every plot against you, all of it was carefully measured, weighed, and recorded, so that when the time is right, the precision of divine justice will unfold, leaving no doubt, no escape, and no room for denial. They may believe that their cruelty defined you, but in reality, it defined them, and the consequences will reflect the true nature of their hearts with absolute clarity. Remember this always. Allah's wrath is not a reaction, it is perfection in motion. It is inevitability dressed in patience, and it is justice that no arrogance can defy, no malice can evade, and no darkness can obscure. The oppressors may not yet see the reckoning, but the chosen, anchored in faith and patience, can already sense the unstoppable alignment of divine decree, knowing that every act of cruelty against them is simultaneously building the case for a justice that is inevitable, complete, and flawlessly executed. You are not responsible for revenge. Your responsibility was to endure, to trust, to be patient, and to remain faithful. And in doing so, you allowed Allah to transform what was meant for harm into a mechanism of perfect justice, proving that divine wrath is neither random nor emotional. It is precise, calculated, and unavoidable, and it will arrive in its perfect timing, leaving the oppressors exposed, humbled, and powerless, while the chosen rise in clarity, dignity, and divine favor. Chosen one, never mistake your restraint for fear, never confuse your silence with surrender, and never allow the world to convince you that speaking in every battle is the sign of strength, because there is a power far greater than any words, a force far more effective than any argument, and a strategy infinitely wiser than any human plan. And that is the choice to remain silent while trusting Allah's perfect decree, to withdraw your tongue when explanations would only entangle you further, to resist the impulse to react when retaliation would blur the line between the oppressed and the oppressor, and to know that in the realm of the unseen, silence becomes a weapon sharper than any sword. When they sought to provoke you, to draw you into conflict, to shame you publicly, and to twist your character. Every moment you held your tongue was a deliberate act of obedience, a conscious alignment with divine wisdom, and a decision to let truth, rather than emotion, dictate the outcome. Islam teaches us that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, endured insults, betrayal, and slander with patience and restraint, choosing silence at times when response would have amplified falsehood and corrupted character. In doing so, he demonstrated that true strength is often hidden, that power does not always roar, and that the greatest victories are often achieved without lifting a hand or raising a voice. Your silence was not empty. It was filled with prayer, reflection, trust, and unwavering reliance on Allah. It allowed the oppressors' schemes to unravel naturally, their lies to expose themselves, and their arrogance to become the evidence of their own destruction. While they celebrated the illusion of control, Allah was arranging outcomes in ways so precise that every action intended to harm you would rebound, every attempt to defame you would fail, and every force marshaled against you would collapse under its own weight. By refusing to engage in petty quarrels, by choosing not to mirror cruelty with cruelty, by allowing patience and trust to guide your heart, you preserved your dignity, protected your spirit, and elevated your soul above the chaos they sought to impose. Silence, when wielded with intention, becomes a shield that protects your inner world from corruption, a strategy that allows divine justice to operate without interference, and a signal to the heavens that the chosen one does not need to fight with worldly means because the ultimate defense is already in motion, orchestrated by the one who never misses, never errs, and never allows injustice to go unanswered. Chosen one, your quiet endurance amplified the power of Allah's intervention. Every moment of restraint allowed unseen forces to dismantle arrogance, expose lies, and position you for elevation beyond what the world could recognize or comprehend. In remaining silent, you demonstrated that the chosen do not need to shout to be heard, do not need to strike to prevail, and do not need to justify themselves to those committed to misunderstanding, because Allah's support, protection, and justice surpass human perception, timing, and logic. Your silence became a strategy that magnified the weakness of those who attacked you, turning their own energy against them, unraveling their plans in ways invisible to the worldly eye but evident in the unseen record, and proving that patience, trust, and restraint are more powerful than any immediate reaction, louder than any defense, and stronger than any weapon. Let this lesson be etched into your heart. The chosen speak only when necessary, act only when guided, and trust only in the one whose knowledge, timing, and wisdom are perfect. Silence in obedience is never weakness. Patience in restraint is never passivity, and every act of enduring without retaliation is a step closer to the divine justice that even the most cunning cannot escape. The world may confuse your quiet with fear, the arrogant may interpret your restraint as submission, and the impatient may see inactivity as defeat, but the chosen know that true power lies not in proving oneself to the world, but in trusting Allah, remaining steadfast, preserving integrity, and allowing the oppressor's own hands to build the testimony of their undoing, proving that what appears as stillness is, in fact, the most strategic, most powerful, and most effective force a believer can wield. Chosen one, understand this eternal truth. While the world saw only struggle, betrayal, and hardship in your life, Allah was orchestrating an elevation so profound, so deliberate, and so divinely precise that no force on earth or in the heavens could prevent it. And while your oppressors believed their cruelty and mockery were burying you, they were, in reality, digging the pit of their own downfall and illuminating the path for your rise. They acted with arrogance, envy, and blind confidence, attempting to crush your spirit, tarnish your reputation, and delay your destiny. Yet Allah's wisdom surpasses all understanding, and He allowed their actions to become instruments of your refinement, purification, and spiritual expansion, ensuring that every trial you endured, every tear you shed, every night you spent in solitude, and every moment of injustice you faced was transforming you into someone untouchable, radiant, and aligned with divine purpose. While they were busy scheming against you, Allah was deepening your patience, sharpening your discernment, strengthening your faith, and expanding your insight so that you could recognize falsehood, resist temptation, and navigate life with clarity and conviction, elevating you in ways the world could neither see nor measure, yet undeniable in the unseen realm where every action is recorded, every intention is measured, and every soul's true value is revealed. The oppressors, in their arrogance, sought to define your reality through pain, manipulation, and fear, yet their actions only exposed the fragility of their own hearts, their envy, their greed, their moral emptiness, and their spiritual corruption, while simultaneously allowing you to rise in dignity, integrity, and divine favor, proving that elevation is never earned through worldly approval, but through endurance, faith, and alignment with Allah's decree. Chosen one, your rise was never dependent on their recognition or validation. It was anchored in the one who sees every hidden struggle, every whispered prayer, every secret tear, and every act of patience carried in the name of faith. And as Allah elevated you, He allowed their arrogance to descend, their plans to collapse, and their power to dissolve in the very hands that once seemed so threatening, demonstrating that divine justice is not reactive but perfectly measured, and that every action against the chosen ultimately contributes to their unstoppable ascent, while exposing the oppressors for who they truly are. Your elevation is not always visible to the eyes of men, yet it is undeniable in the spiritual realm. The oppressors are losing clarity, security, influence, and peace, while you are gaining insight, purpose, spiritual strength, and proximity to Allah. The world may still see your challenges, but the heavens have already witnessed your triumph, your refinement, and your readiness for what is to come, and every act of cruelty directed at you now serves as a lesson, a warning, and a mechanism for correction, not for you, but for those who sought to harm, deceive, and mislead. While they struggle to maintain their illusions, Allah has aligned your life with purpose, ensuring that every hardship becomes a stepping stone, every betrayal a lesson, every attempt to suppress you a catalyst for strength, and every act of mockery a mirror reflecting their true weakness. Chosen one, the elevation that Allah orchestrates is meticulous, irreversible, and eternal, and it occurs even when the world perceives only suffering, loss, or delay. It is a rise that begins in the heart, strengthens in the soul, and manifests in reality at the perfect time, when the scales of justice, patience, and divine decree converge to reveal what was always meant to be. Remember this always: what they attempted to destroy became your foundation, what they used to suppress you became your wings, and what they believed would end you only propelled you toward greatness. The oppressors descend into confusion, weakness, and eventual accountability, while you ascend in spiritual clarity, resilience, and divine favor, proving that Allah's chosen are elevated in ways that no human force can imitate, obstruct, or diminish, and that every act of patience, obedience, and faith is a thread in the tapestry of your unstoppable rise. Chosen one, never forget, your elevation is divinely guaranteed. Your hardships are the soil of your ascension, and their descent is the natural consequence of opposing what Allah has decreed, leaving you with peace, clarity, and a destiny aligned with a power far beyond what they could ever imagine. A destiny they will witness in disbelief, yet one that they can never undo, reverse, or escape. Chosen one, understand this deeply. You were never meant to chase justice with your own hands, to confront the oppressors directly, or to orchestrate their downfall, because Allah, in His infinite wisdom, is the ultimate judge, the ultimate witness, and the ultimate dispenser of every affair, and His justice surpasses anything the eyes can see, the mind can plan, or the heart can imagine. What they sought to control, manipulate, and destroy was already in His decree, and your role was never to retaliate but to endure, to remain steadfast, and to protect your soul from becoming what they had become. For retaliation by your own hand often blurs the line between right and wrong, whereas divine justice is perfect, precise, and absolute. While they celebrated their perceived victories, plotted against you, and rejoiced in your apparent vulnerability, Allah was quietly, meticulously, and decisively orchestrating the events, circumstances, and spiritual outcomes that would ensure their own undoing, exposing their arrogance, unraveling their schemes, and allowing the truth to surface in ways so undeniable that no lie could survive, no manipulation could succeed, and no cruelty could escape correction. Every plot, every insult, every act of betrayal they directed at you has been recorded in the unseen, weighed with perfect precision, and set in motion for a reckoning so flawless that it requires no human intervention, no arguments, no force, and no time constraints beyond what Allah Himself decrees. Chosen one, your patience, silence, and faith are the channels through which divine justice flows. Every tear you shed, every prayer you whispered, every night you spent in solitude trusting Allah, every moment you refused to mirror their cruelty, and every ounce of restraint you practiced has contributed to a momentum that moves unseen but unerringly toward correction, balance, and accountability, proving that you do not need to fight for what is yours, because what is destined for you cannot be stolen, and what is meant to confront the oppressors cannot be avoided by them. While they acted in arrogance and blind confidence, believing they were the masters of their own fate and the rulers of your reality, Allah positioned their actions to collapse under their own weight, to turn their schemes against themselves, and to allow their own hearts, intentions, and decisions to construct the path of their downfall, leaving you untouched, elevated, and aligned with divine decree. Justice does not always manifest in the way the world expects. It is often subtle, invisible, and delayed, yet it is inevitable, complete, and flawless, and it requires no human hand when orchestrated by the one who never errs, never forgets, and never allows oppression to go unaddressed. The chosen understand this. Patience is not passive, endurance is not weakness, and faith is not naive. Each of these is a tool, a weapon, and a channel for divine justice, allowing it to move with perfection while protecting the believer from corruption, sin, and distraction. Chosen one, while the oppressors may grow arrogant, misled by temporary victories, distracted by worldly illusions, and blinded by envy, their undoing is already being constructed. Every element perfectly measured, every consequence flawlessly aligned, and every act of injustice meticulously counted without your interference. Your responsibility was never to retaliate, to seek revenge, or to justify yourself. Your responsibility was to preserve your faith, protect your heart, and trust Allah's timing, wisdom, and decree, and in doing so, you positioned yourself in alignment with a justice so precise, so unstoppable, and so inevitable that even the most cunning, arrogant, and ruthless among them cannot escape it. Remember always, chosen one, the hands that harmed you, the hearts that despised you, and the voices that maligned you are all instruments of their own exposure, unraveling, and ultimate reckoning, and you need not lift a finger, utter a word, or harbor resentment, because Allah's justice is already in motion, flowing silently but powerfully, arranging the scales of consequence, exposing corruption, restoring balance, and elevating the faithful in ways visible and invisible, immediate and eternal. What they sought to control will betray them. What they believed would break you will only refine you, and what they assumed they could escape will find them with absolute certainty, leaving you free, unshaken, and aligned with a divine decree that no one can alter, no one can delay, and no one can escape, proving that ultimate justice never requires your touch, your anger, or your intervention. It requires only faith, patience, and trust in the one whose timing is perfect, whose wisdom is infinite, and whose decree is flawless, ensuring that the chosen are protected, elevated, and rewarded, while the oppressors face the consequences of every act of cruelty, betrayal, and arrogance they ever committed against the faithful, in ways both seen and unseen, immediate and eternal, subtle and undeniable. And in the end, it will become perfectly clear to all that justice is not what the oppressors feared. It is far greater, far wiser, and far more inevitable than they could have imagined, flowing through the universe with the precision of the Creator and the inevitability of destiny, leaving no room for error, escape, or denial, and proving once and for all that the chosen who trust, endure, and remain patient will never be left unprotected, unheard, or unrewarded, while the oppressors will confront a justice they cannot influence, evade, or manipulate, no matter how powerful, cunning, or relentless they believe themselves to be. Chosen one, now you see the truth. Every trial, every insult, every act of cruelty you endured was never wasted. Every tear, every moment of silence, every night spent in prayer was building a force so powerful, a light so undeniable, and a destiny so divinely aligned that no one, no enemy, no schemer, no oppressor can ever touch it or reverse it. Allah has witnessed your patience, honored your endurance, and orchestrated your elevation in ways the world cannot perceive. Yet the heavens have already celebrated your rise. Remember this always. You do not need to fight for justice. You do not need to prove your worth to anyone, and you do not need to seek revenge, because the one who never misses, never forgets, and never allows injustice to go unpunished is already at work. What they try to hide, destroy, or suppress will emerge. What they believed would bury you has only strengthened you, and what they feared most, the truth of your destiny, will arrive with unstoppable clarity. Stand in faith, hold your head high, remain patient, and trust the one who has chosen you, because the oppressor's arrogance will crumble, their schemes will fail, and divine justice will manifest with perfection. Chosen one, this is your time. The light within you is unstoppable, your rise is inevitable, and your victory is written in the decree of Allah. The world may not yet see it, but the heavens have already witnessed it. Stay steadfast, stay faithful, and let your life be the testament that Allah's chosen can never be defeated, silenced, or forgotten.